Disney Plus has launched and the mouse has tightened its grip on our lives and wallets once again. Of course, most Star Wars films are available on the service, along with Mr. Boogedy. So the first question for any self-respecting obsessed person is, which version of the original trilogy does the service offer? If you look at my previous videos on this subject, you'll know that nothing like this is ever simple. The films have almost never been released the same way more than once. Still, we had assumed that Disney Plus would offer one of two versions: the latest highly edited special edition, or some foolish streamers, and I love optimists like this, thought they might surprise us all and drop the original unaltered versions in high definition for the first time. I don't think anyone expected entirely new versions of the films, with one last laugh from Lucas beyond the grave. Everything was pointing to the films being the most recent iteration, which debuted on the 2011 Blu-ray set and were re-released digitally with only a logo change in 2015. This edition of the films bases itself on a master done by Lowry Digital for the 2004 original trilogy DVD box set, but was enhanced to 1080p with a few minor changes. A lot of people don't realize how expensive and time-consuming it is to scan and restore films. That's why a budget cut made the 2004 version come out so weird, and why the 2011 version simply enhanced that master. That most recent version inherits many of the flaws of the 2004 Lowry master, which we primarily characterize as bad and inaccurate color correction. Some things were fixed with the jump from the DVD to the Blu-ray, but with the bizarre extra changes that Lucas made, it's arguably an inferior version, and it seemed like it was going to be the version that Disney held on to. Like I said, they had made it available for purchase well after acquiring Lucasfilm from George, and they even released it on all new individual Blu-rays earlier this year. But with rumors of a 4K Ultra HD physical release of the entire Skywalker saga coming next year, it's clear that that most recent Blu-ray release was simply a clever way to clear out their remaining stock, the insane people that will buy the same discs in different packaging. So what exactly is on Disney Plus? Well, Mr. Boogedy for one, but for Star Wars, the most talked about change is George Lucas's final version of the Han vs. Greedo confrontation, with McClunky fever quickly sweeping the nation. This stupid scene, holds the record for the most changes over the years. There are now 5 different ways that these few seconds play out. There's the original 1977 version, where only Han shoots, the 1997 theatrical version, where Greedo fires a shot, misses, and Han fires back, the 2004 DVD version, where this interaction is sped up, the 2011 Blu-ray version, which has been sped up again, so that the interaction now takes the same amount of time as the original version, and now this new version, where Greedo has an additional unsubtitled line before firing, and the brief shot of the Greedo dummy is removed. Here they are, all at the same time. And here they are at half speed. And here they are all back to back.
My dead body.
Yes,
I bet you have.
bet you have. Bet you have.
Yes, I bet you have. Yes, I bet you have.
McClunky.
Also, it's worth mentioning that Greedo's subtitles have gone back and forth over the years, with whether they've been burned into the picture or generated by the machine that's playing it. I prefer my subtitles burned in, but I see the problem for non-English speakers. As for the alien phrase in question, it's Huttese, one of the native languages of Tatooine, that's been around since at least the Phantom Menace. Sebulba says it as a threat to Anakin, where it is translated as, "This will be the end of you." So at least it fits within the context of that scene, and it's nice to know that there's at least some continuity in these silly languages. I'd always assumed that all subtitled alien dialogue in these films was just random nonsense. It has come out through multiple sources that the change was made by George Lucas himself, all the way back in 2012, as part of a new 4K master made by Reliance Media Works. So why was work even being done on the original trilogy in 2012, 1 year after the entire saga was released on Blu-ray? Remember this? It never happened, but the whole 6-film saga was set to be released in 3D prior to Lucasfilm's sale to Disney. Although The Phantom Menace was the only one theatrically released, and the other 2 prequels were converted but only shown at conventions, work had already been started on the original trilogy. That's the reason for the majority of the seemingly arbitrary 2011 changes. They were done to make the films just a little more visually interesting in 3D. So a 4K master was made of the 2011 cuts, and George just couldn't resist throwing McClunky in there? No. The story gets much stranger the deeper people dig into this release.
McClunky.
It was just the beginning. But I should warn you,
McClunky.
he's also the sexiest part of this story. If that's all you're interested in, thanks for stopping by. We're really getting into the weeds now. First, we weren't sure how the logos were going to look prior to the film started. I told you this is where it really starts to get granular. To recap, after the sale of Lucasfilm to Disney in 2012, 5 of the original 6 films were stripped of their iconic 20th Century Fox fanfare. Instead, all the films except for A New Hope opened with the Lucasfilm logo only and a piece of previously recorded John Williams score before going into A Long Time Ago. Only the original Star Wars retained its original opening due to 20th Century Fox retaining permanent distribution rights to it. In his memoir, Disney CEO Bob Iger reveals that this internal logo inconsistency was the sole driving force for Disney's $71 million acquisition of 20th Century Fox. And now, instead of reverting the logos to their original state, or at least the updated version of each logo that appeared with the special editions in 1997, the 20th Century Fox logo was slightly altered to remove a News Corporation company at the bottom, and the Lucasfilm logo was updated to the new version that first appeared in 2015 in front of The Force Awakens. New versions of previously removed logos not exciting enough for you? Well, you haven't seen anything yet. Following directly from the reinstated fanfare, the iconic "A Long Time Ago" text has been reverted to the way it appeared in 1997. You probably didn't even notice it had changed at all, did you? I bet you also didn't notice that your girlfriend has been acting distant lately. You two used to talk all the time, but lately she's finding it harder and harder to find common ground. So here's a little conversation starter for the two of you to try to get the fire burning again. In 2004, the "A Long Time Ago" text was replaced with the exact text from Attack of the Clones. We're not sure why, but that goes for a lot of things when it comes to these changes. So now it's back to the way it was in 1997, which is different from the theatrical version still. So this, as inconsequential as it seems, was changed back to the way it was in 1997, huh? Why would that be the case? Well, it's actually a clue to the origin and nature of these versions of the films. Despite retaining most of the 2004 and 2011 changes, this new edition of the original trilogy was based directly on the 1997 special editions, meaning a 4K master was made from the film before any of the poor scanning and color correcting was done by Lowry in 2004. That's why the films look so much more like they did when they were re-released in 1997 in terms of colors. And for this release, they were further color corrected with a more modern grading. That's why everything is just a little less saturated than it has been for the past few releases. It's closer to the way the films look theatrically, but probably more importantly, it's closer to the sequel trilogy and the anthology films. A couple of other deliberate color changes have been made as well. Look at how different the Emperor's hologram in The Empire Strikes Back looks, for example. The 2004, which featured Ian McDiarmid, is practically entirely blue. This Disney Plus version, though, brings a more natural color to his face. It's a little closer to the way the Miss Persimmon hologram looked in the theatrical and 1997 special edition. With a few exceptions, the changes made to the films in 2004 and 2011, which again I've documented in previous videos, have been replicated for this new version. Luckily though, a lot of the errors that either weren't fixed in the various post-1997 special editions or were introduced in them have been remedied this time around.
No more adventures. I'm not going that way.
Hello there.
This is Gold Leader. We're starting our attack run.
Father. I won't leave you. Are you all right? What's wrong?
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Generally, I think these new scans look really great. The picture quality is solid, and detail is oftentimes incredible. The previous scans crushed blacks, meaning shadowed portions of the picture that have lost detail, that won't show up even if you turn up your screen's brightness, have been greatly improved. And a really distracting mistake where an entire film reel of Return of the Jedi was scanned out of focus was corrected this time around. These films will look even better with the eventual physical release sometime next year, since quality is inherently worse when streaming. As for the prequel films, there's not really much to say. They appear to be identical to the cuts that appeared on the Blu-ray in 2011. There may be some slight alterations to color timing, but there's nothing groundbreaking here. Well, minus the updated logos, of course. Worth pointing out, though, that Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith are not ever really going to look as good as the rest of the films when converted to 4K. Those second two prequel films were shot on digital high-definition cameras at 2K resolution. There's really no way to natively convert that footage to 4K like can be done with the images shot on film. All you can do is upscale. So that's really as good as those films will ever look. It's ironic, really, that those films, which were touted as being on the cutting edge of filmmaking, will always be the most handicapped by technology going forward. Also, you can really see a picture quality difference between the original footage and the reinstated deleted Pod Race Lap 2 footage, which was created for the film's DVD release and has stuck around since then. It's pretty jarring. But hey, here's that stupid single change made to The Phantom Menace when it was converted to 3D. This is the first time it's been available on home media. All in all, I think we should be pretty happy with these releases of Star Wars. They aren't the original theatrical versions, of course, but I think these are the best special editions we've ever gotten. An ideal release for me would be to put a similarly well-handled new scan of the theatrical versions together with these new ones. There's nothing wrong with giving people the option to pick from the theatrical and the modernized versions of these films, but hey, I'll take what I can get, and there are a lot of really talented fans working to bring theatrical preservations to life. And as someone who has really missed George Lucas these past few years, it's nice to get one last kiss from him from the glory days. It's a thrill I thought I'd never get a chance to feel again. Now just give me a new Rick McCallum interview and I can die happy.
And I cannot remember for the life of me what you asked me.
Play us out, Rick.
We've added one new character that they didn't have the time to actually develop on the third film, Yazam.